What are some of the most wanted champions by you, the community, that you want to see in game this year or in the future? Back over a month ago, I asked you the question in a community post: what champion would you most want to see in 2025? And you didn't disappoint. We had over 200 comments, and what I tried to do is put that into a number of a rank as to which of the top 10 we should feature in this video that you voted for. And there were some very interesting results. Even times when you've liked a particular post about, say, somebody's put like a comment saying, you know, this champion that they'd like to see. And what also we're going to do is try to pair this off against the wish list, which is done by the other Gabe, or now the standard Gabe, MCOC. So with all of this information ranging from Jeff the Land Shark, we had somebody mention Jeff the Land Shark multiple times, Iron Spider, we had Queen Hassan, of course, Makari, I think I'm saying that wrong, from the Eternals. So many characters were referenced and mentioned. And of course, with having Jean Grey and Bastion confirmed for next month, it does mean that a lot of that was taken out of, and that's great news. I cannot wait to do a review of those champions. And also just kind of just the hype. Hopefully next month sees a bit of hype and new stuff to the game, because it's been a bit kind of really of late, especially finding out if there's new quality of life improvements and other stuff. So let's see where we are. Let's begin with top 10. At number 10 is Legion, and that is again a champion that makes sense but doesn't. It is going to be a completely bonkers champion that would be in game based on his multiple personalities, and just could do more than Onslaught. But I don't know if Kabam have got the balls to put him in. Yeah, maybe that's the case. His hair would obviously have to be incredibly high, but I think that he'd be just a bit too powerful for the game. Instead, also the same thing with Franklin Richards. I think that could be a very powerful champion for the game, and that was mentioned in our list. But Legion was number 10. So what about number 9? Number 9 was Agatha Harkness. It's weird because she is already a Summoner's Choice champion from the last 3 years ago. Or, I think it's 3 years ago how this works. Yeah, 3 years ago. She was a 2022 one. And she did have a pitch. She was, as said here with her gameplay theme, creates magical prison on the battlefield, while inside of it, she absorbs the opponent's powers and takes them for herself. She can then choose to spend this power to more easily defeat her opponent, or take it with her to face future enemies. A persistent Mystic-based champion. I think we lost out with not having this champion in game. So I was, a bit disappointed to not see her. And also, she steals power from the opponents with enough of it gains a crossfight to symbolize the new power she obtained. This crossfight would potentially boost her core attributes, or perhaps grant her additional abilities. This is very much like Purgatory, and maybe that's why people didn't go for her, but man, I think that this was a really well pitched champion, and shame she didn't win. I think she was the one that lost out to Quicksilver. That's sad if that was the case. So your number 8 base champion that was mentioned was Iron Spider. This version here, not the kind of enhanced version that you might, and also the version from like Endgame or Infinity, is it Endgame? I think it's Endgame, that you might have seen. It's not that version, it's this version, the red with the golden and the legs that come out. It's basically like the film version, but it's not the film version, it's this version right here that people would have liked to have seen. But that was also really cool. I don't know if there's too many Spider-Verse based variants. It's a difficult pitch. I know people are very much anti-Spider-Verse based heroes, but they make bank, and I think I'm unsure. I'm always on the fence with more Spider-Verse based champions, especially with Spider-Punk. You kind of think, well, instead of Spider-Punk, could they have done the Iron Spider? Maybe that would be a bit more interesting. But they went for not this one, but I'd like to see this version. At number 7, and a Summoner's Choice 2024 champion, Blob. Well, I say champion because he never became a champion. He was a character that could have become a champion. It was always a bit of a shame. I voted for Blob. I would have loved to have seen Blob win the 2024. We got Do we get Shathra as a result? Yeah, we did get Shathra. She's alright. I've got nothing against her. I thought she was pretty cool. Pretty cool character. But yeah, I wanted Blob to win, mainly because I'm a big mutant fan and an X-Men like universe fan. Of course, he's not an X-Man, but you know what I mean. Like, it just would have been a cool character to see how absorbent, say, strong, resilient, and survivability and sustainability that the character could have had in MCOC would have been pretty cool. Like, would you be able to like bounce off the belly? Is it going to be unstoppable? Is it going to have traits similar to Kingpin? Of course, skill, not being a skill, of course, it's being a mutant. But would you have like a strong resilience and kind of strong, heavy hitting type elements to your power? Would it be prowess that you'd get? What would be with this champion? And what will be was, well, will be, and we didn't get him, so sad times. In at number 6 is Blue Marvel. Blue Marvel, again, was a bit of a surprise to come back. He was, first of all, in the first one when it came to the Summoner's Choice, but then returned back again. This was in the 2022 one, but I thought he was earlier. I think he was in the first lot with Hercules. I could be wrong with that, but again, this is part of the underdog vote, as it says right there. But yeah, like, it would have been cool to have the character in, but I don't know if this is going to be another champion that will revolve around another Summoner's Choice. He didn't get it in 2020, maybe didn't get it in 2022. Will he be back in 2026's one? Or will Kabam just go, wow, we'll just put him in? I'd love to see Agatha Harkness this year, the same way that I'd like to see Blue Marvel at some stage, because I think he just deserves it. And it was weird to see Blue Marvel being mentioned so much by players in the community tab post. In a good way, by the way. In a good way to kind of like finally see it. So maybe the time is now. What do you think? And if we're talking about like on the power scales of things, and this was number 5, this is enters into the top 5. Beyonder is our top 5 going in. But yeah, like the power scales, some of these characters being mentioned is going like above and beyond. There are some that kind of, I think, popularity from different types of new games and things. We'll see that in a minute. But Beyonder is an incredibly powerful character. I thought Kabam might have, at least with the story arcs, put in some of these bigger characters rather than going their own way with stuff. It's good to see Ares be, in some respects, a new, not a new, but kind of like, or has always been there kind of character, and as part of the kind of the lore of the game. So that's going to be cool for the future, but I personally would have liked something when it came to the Beyonder, and rather than the way they went with Act 9, or even the latter points of Act 8. But that's up to Kabam. It's, you know, all this kind of Chrono Serpent stuff, it's kind of ran its course, and it should have been either they continued it on, or stopped it earlier, or kind of just did something with it, rather than the way that it is at the moment, where we've kind of like gone, we are continuing it on, what's happening with the Chrono Serpent, and other stuff like that. So I would have liked to see something like Beyonder, or another kind of like Omega being of some description be the big catalyst of what is happening in the background of the contest. But it's Kabam's game, it's their story they want to tell. As we enter number 4, it's Cloak and Dagger. I think with the rise of Marvel Rivals, and as well people's warmth and love for the characters, Cloak and Dagger become a interesting concept. Could Kabam work with Marvel Rivals? Because Kabam were actually going to work with Marvel Rivals and NetEase to partner up, but for whatever reason there was kind of a breakdown of communication. I don't know the full ins and outs of it, but it was something that kind of erupted onto Twitter, because one of like my friends, Miller Ross, covered I think it was like Danny, sorry, it's Danny, his name's Danny, of NetEase, said that there was a partnership in place, but it wasn't going to work out, and there was some scathing, not scathing, but kind of like a little kind of like dig in some ways towards Kabam. Maybe lost in translation, I'm not 100% sure, but it would have been nice to see something, because was it Puzzle Quest, Marvel Puzzle Quest, Marvel Future Fight, or was it Marvel, and another Marvel game worked with NetEase for something? I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if there's any politics there, why it didn't work out. But it would be nice to see a partnership with, you know, Marvel Rivals, especially because it's more eyes on MCOC. You know, it would have been good to see that. But anyway, the characters are cool. Abilities would be cool. One champion in a kind of like a dual champion thing, switching between each one would be cool. Could it be done? Could Kabam do it? Well, tough to say. But then that's why one of the top 2 characters is not being made. That kind of idea of switching between something. Let's continue on. So an interesting and unlikely entering into number 3, but an exciting one, is a new Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider is incredibly popular. Yes, what would you say about the films not being as popular? It's not really the case, but I'd say a lot of people mention Ghost Rider quite a bit. And whether you're mentioning the Johnny Blaze version or the Robbie Reyes version, a lot of people really like Robbie Reyes. If you got the popularity of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show, you'll definitely know a lot of people were mentioning that character and, of course, Ghost Rider in general. We've seen Kushala in game. Could we see at a later date Robbie Reyes, and what would that look like? I would personally love an SP3 where you'd be able to kind of like use the car to drive, the same way you use the SP3 with Kushala and also with standard Ghost Rider. That and yeah, and Cosmic Ghost Rider as well. I've got Cosmic Ghost Rider. But that would be cool. Robbie Reyes, very popular. It's similar to standard Ghost Rider, possibly. But the movesets, maybe slight change in abilities, would be something to explore. Maybe something to explore with what you could do with the SP3 in the car. Yeah, something just spicing it up a little bit more. So I would love to see it. And of course, you voted for him being the 3rd one, so that's exciting as well. So of course, we go to number 2, and that's going to be Mystique. Mystique. For years, we've been talking about the idea of Mystique. Talked about it just a second ago when I was like, if there was an ability, tech, and mechanics for Kabam to create something where you could get a champion or character to replicate, switch up, or yeah, just basically impersonate the opposite champion they're facing off against, or at least mimic movesets, or have some kind of like ability to turn it on or off, like a crossfight ability or a pre-fight ability, where you copy movesets, then that would be good. But then if you're facing off against Wolverine, would you want to copy Wolverine? Or could they do it in a sense of Mystique you could change, you could change, but you still have Mystique's abilities and movesets, but you're able to kind of steal the buffs of your person you're facing off against. So if Wolverine has a regen, you would copy that regen. Like you copy the abilities. That, I think, could be something. Like you basically turn into a visual Wolverine doing Mystique's movesets, but you're able to take the regen, same way that you would go, I'm facing against Serpent, he gets Fury buff, I've got a Fury buff. That champion got True Sense, you get True Sense. But you look like that champion, but you're fighting doing the moveset of Mystique. I don't know how Kabam could exactly do it, but it's not exactly easy. I grant them that. But it just would be, I'd love to see it. And I'm sure a lot of you would be wanting to see Mystique as well. And now we finish off with the most wanted as voted for by you, which we're going to cross-reference with the MCOC wishlist in a minute to see where we kind of like align with it. Lizard. Lizard is number 1. There was this, you can see this is taken from an old MCN like a long time ago. I can't remember how many years of this, but Gabe did say that Lizard will make his way into game soon, right? That was a long time ago, a long time ago. And at that particular point, it was like, maybe it ain't going to happen now, or it may happen in the future. It's still an exciting prospect that we could get Lizard at some stage, and it's definitely something you all have said about in the past and in the future. We've got this kind of like hint right here with Lizard actually being in Oscorp. Is this an Easter egg of some description? Are we expecting to see Lizard in the future? Is he in Oscorp and needs to be broken out? Or is there some secret MCOC law in place? I'm not saying LAW, but I mean LORE, that Kabam are kind of working on, and we'll see it as a bit of a big surprise. That's what I hope. You know, a bit of kind of like it's been in the background kind of champion lore, so to speak. But what are your thoughts? Do you think that it's actually coming? He's actually coming? Put it in the comments. And let's finish off by cross-referencing. And by the way, shout out to the other MCOC, Gabe, because we've got to go and check out this. Link is in the description to this. It is the MCOC wishlist. Now, we've seen ours, which has of course gone in its direction. Over the course of how many years? Nearly 400,000 of you have voted, and there's been 400,000 votes for 8.4k voters, which is nice. So number 1 at the moment, they have Mystique. Similar, we have Mystique at number 2. Number 2 is Lizard, which is interesting, and at number 3, Cloak and Dagger. See, this is really weird, isn't it? It's good in a good kind of way. Polaris, funny enough, Polaris was mentioned when I say quite a bit, about 4 times. Maybe I got it wrong, maybe it's 5 times, but it definitely wouldn't have been something that kind of broke us into the top 10. Black Knight, funny enough, was mentioned quite a bit, not as much as everything else. Spider-Woman was mentioned as well, but again, it didn't break the top 10 for us. And Captain Britain didn't crack the top 10 as well, but has been voted on for 1,819 times. Silver Samurai was again another one that was mentioned quite a bit, but not to the same kind of volume as some of the others. Blob again reached our top 10 as well, and Wonder Man as well was mentioned several times. So it's kind of weird because a lot of those do align with the ones that have been heavily mentioned as most wanted champions. Make sure to get involved with the ranker that the other MCC Gabe has put out, because it's just interesting, and also it's a good test for the community as to what you actually want to see, because it's not just about what you put on my community posts tabs or in the comment section. It's also what you're putting out in other places, and ranker is a great place, and what the other MCC Gabe does is great as well. Links to that in the description. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching, and we'll see what next week brings. Hopefully some spicy and interesting stuff, because it's a bit Dullsville here in the world of MCOC, isn't it? Anyway, thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.